I have a second channel, Cube Comp MTDX. Hey everybody. With Windows 7 support ending in less than a week, just days away, I figured it'd be a good opportunity to talk about how to sort of make Windows 10 behave a lot more like Windows 7. So here we have a brand new installation of Windows 10. This is actually Windows 10 Pro. So what I did here is I interrupted the setup. So I went through the little prompts where it asks you for it's more or less an out-of-box experience where you have to set up various things like your keyboard and things like that, and it asks you all these questions about, of course, wanting to set up your Microsoft account and blah blah, which I always skipped that. So once you get to the screen where it says "Hi, we're happy you're here," you can just press Control Delete on the keyboard, click Sign Out, and then you can sign right back in and bypass the splash screen where it supposedly is setting up things in the background. So let's go and get started. So sign in, and the first thing you want to go ahead and do is, if you don't care much for OneDrive, let's go ahead and stop setup for it. So once this logs in, we're immediately going to go into Task Manager and kill the process for OneDrive. Okay, so here we are. Right click, Task Manager, click More Details, and under Processes, sometimes it takes a minute for it to come up. So here we are, OneDrive setup in task right now. You have to be pretty quick with it, because what it will do is it'll install OneDrive, and then it'll also add unnecessary shortcuts to your Explorer and things like that. So now we're going to start up and disable OneDrive setup. This will effectively disable OneDrive from ever installing your Windows 10, at least until you install a feature update, which most feature updates are the equivalent of reinstalling your operating system. So once you get to a probably this year's feature update will probably be the equivalent of installing your OS, or upgrade installing your OS, and it'll probably install it then. So just every time you take on a feature upgrade, or you do a clean install of Windows 10, or also if you create a new user account on the machine, you got to do this. Okay, so now the display driver is installing. Okay, so the reason why I was so quick with that is obviously that's like first thing. But if OneDrive does install, there are some workarounds to where it's not so much in your way. So let's say if OneDrive does happen to install, you would just go down here, find a little cloud icon, right click on it, and there should be a settings button, and then I think it's under General, and there'll be an option to start OneDrive with Windows. Uncheck that, and you select OK to close out the box, and then right click on the cloud icon again, and then choose Exit OneDrive, and now stop OneDrive from running with Windows. So we'll come back to OneDrive in a moment. Next we'll go ahead and just right click and set Focus Assist alarms only. That way you don't get nagged every time a notification comes up. I mean, in my opinion, this is a computer, not a smartphone. I don't need to get notifications dinging left and right. It's already annoying enough on my smartphone as it is. Next, we'll go ahead and go up here to Search, hide that, and also I'm going to uncheck Show Cortana button or icon. So we have this very annoying Start menu, which I still find it very annoying even nowadays. So we can actually install a classic shell to get our classic Start menu back. So let's go ahead and access my installation files. Okay, I have all my installers pulled up, and this is all for various stuff, but first thing I'm going to focus on is the current date and time. Windows 10 just loves to automatically adjust your date and time. If it's a clean installation, automatically it'll set it to Pacific time, no matter what time zone you're in. Instead of asking you important questions like what time zone you're in the Windows setup, it instead asks you stuff about Cortana and things like that, stuff that's not really important. So once Windows 10 installs, you then have to go into settings, and then you have to go to time and language, and then you have to adjust your time zone to the correct time zone, which here is Eastern time, and yes, it is freaking late at night. So there's that. First thing we'll focus on is, let's say OneDrive did install, and then you have that pesky OneDrive button over here on the left. Well, you can run this Registry Fix, and this is something I downloaded off the internet. So you should be able to Google search this and download it. So you have 2 options for hide, 2 options for restore, and it depends on which version of Windows 10 you're running, whether it's 32 or 64-bit. If you aren't sure what version you're running, you just right click on this PC, choose properties, and you'll see, okay, we're running a 32-bit system here. Yours may be 64-bit. So I don't actually need to run this because I was able to block OneDrive from installing. But if you do run this, it will get rid of that little icon on this column over here, but it will not get rid of the one that's up in here, which, again, since I blocked OneDrive from installing, it didn't have a chance to even put it into Explorer. That's why I always like to just block OneDrive altogether if I don't plan on using it. Just block it from ever installing. So that's that. Here's another utility which can be downloaded off the internet. This is the Windows 7 calculator, and I'm going to actually turn off UAC because I find it very annoying. So this is the old calculator. Okay, so that's installed. So here is another thing I downloaded off the internet. This is another registry fix. What this will do is this will re-enable the classic Windows photo viewer that you have in Windows 7. So again, if you just Google search this, you should be able to find this. It should be out there. Like I mentioned, I don't have direct links because I downloaded much of this stuff, of course, was downloaded in 2015. So here's another one you can run. This is Windows 10 Stop Reset File Association. What this will do is this will stop Windows 10 from automatically resetting your file associations back to defaults. And you don't actually really need to run this if you don't want to. And there's also an undo option here, which I'm not going to even apply. But again, that's another thing I downloaded. Here's another thing you can download. This is Windows 7 games for Windows 10 and 8. This will reinstate the Windows 7 games that you had in Windows 7, like the Solitaire, the Spider Solitaire, the Free Cell, the Minesweeper, all that good stuff. Windows 10 got rid of that in favor of the Microsoft Solitaire collection, which I find to be pretty annoying. But if you run this installer, this will bring back those games. Now, one thing I should mention is, ever since Windows 10 1803, they got rid of the Games shell extension. So Windows 7 and even Windows Vista, in the Start menu, there was a Games button you could click, and that would bring up the Games Explorer. I'll go ahead and run this. So these are all the games that it comes with, if you can see. There's the site I got it from, winarrow.com. Uncheck this and click Finish. So we'll go through this stuff and have a look at it. So as I was mentioning, the ever since Windows 10 1803, the game shell extension has been disabled. It no longer works. So there's an alternative. Well, I should mention that the games will show up in the start menu. And also they'll show up in the classic Windows 7 start menu that we'll be installing shortly. This without the game shell extension, you don't have the classic games Explorer extension that you would get in Windows 7 and Windows Vista. Okay, so for those of you who like Windows Media Center, I'm not going to actually be installing it in this video, but there for a while, and it may still be they made the writer of this may still be writing this installation. It's unofficial. What it will do is it will get Windows Media Center into Windows 10. It's based off the Windows 8 Media Center, and I find it'll work for basic stuff like playing videos, listening to music, looking at pictures. However, do not expect it to work properly for recording television. It's likely not going. I mean, depending on your setup, it may or may not work. Now, I do have a video about installing Windows Media Center to Windows 10 from several years back. If I remember to link it into the description, I will. But it's on the channel. So, next thing we're going to focus on is Classic Shell. Now, from what I understand, Classic Shell, the owner stopped supporting it because, or at least he stopped updating it because it was a pain. Every time a new Windows 10 came out, he was always having to update something. But the Classic Shell still, at least the classic start menu does work. Though I should mention that when you upgrade to 1903 or 1909 feature builds, you do run into a little bit of a snag, which I'll have to cover in a different video. Basically, you'll see a prompt from UAC come up saying that an administrator has blocked this file from running, and basically it's the Windows, the classic shell upgrade assistant that will run anytime you install a new feature build to Windows 10. And I'll have a video posted on how to get around that. But anyways, we're going to install Classic Shell, accept the license terms. This should still be downloadable from the internet. One thing I always do is I do not install the Classic Explorer and the Classic IE, because personally the only thing I use Classic Shell for is the Classic Start menu. And we will keep Classic Shell Update on here. So run next, install, uncheck view readme, and finish. Okay, so on Windows 10 Pro, one thing I want to mention is I created a shortcut myself a while back that brings back the import photos and videos wizard that you had in Windows 7. So if you're like me and you're always importing pictures and videos off your cameras, the Windows import photos or import pictures and videos, as it was called in Windows 7, that wizard was very handy. So what I'll do is I'll to copy this and put it into the video description, but essentially you would just on your desktop right click, select new shortcut, and then you would put in this target right there, and you would click next and then finish to create the shortcut. What this will do is when you run the shortcut, which I'll just drag it over to this system. Now there's no cameras or memory cards inserted right now. We do have a flash drive, but that's not really going to work. But if I double click this, you would see that your device there, and you would choose import, and then you would get the opportunity to run through the Windows the import photos and videos wizard. So that'll get you that functionality back. Now some of this stuff here I actually created myself, like this kill OneDrive setup. This was a command that I put together, but Really, to be honest, the best way to stop OneDrive from installing is, as mentioned, when you clean install Windows 10, you sign in for the very first time, quickly run into Windows Task Manager and just stop the process, and then go to startup and disable it from ever starting up again. And you have to do this again. Also, as mentioned, you have to do it again if you whenever you take on a feature upgrade, unless it was something like 1909, which was just not a full-fledged feature upgrade. Or if you add user accounts to the computer, that's also when you'd have to do that. But one more thing I want to go and talk about is Windows 10 Pro. You can configure Windows Update to not automatically download and install updates. So this is the actual registry key. There's the information. What you would need to do is copy this information into a fresh notepad file, and you would save it as just any random name .reg, which actually first you would save it as a text. You would save as a text document, and then you would change the extension. Okay, so what I did here to help y'all understand what I'm talking about here with this file, essentially what you would do to create a registry file in Windows is to start a new text document. What I did is I changed the file extension back to .txt, and you can see this here is is all the text. Again, I had you a close-up view of it earlier. What I'll do is I'll try to get this into the video description. That way you can just copy and paste it. So what you would do is you would create the file, you would save it. So I'm saving it just for example. Close it out. And, so what you would do is you would click this little down arrow here. You'll go over to View, check File Name Extensions, and then you would just change this to .reg. And now I can double click this and apply it to the system registry. And you can also set this up in group policy, local group policy, in the group policy editor. And I'm sure there are tutorials out there how to do this. I think I actually have a video on how to do this as well from some time back when. But the registry key is a way. It's a quicker way of applying if you already have the registry export available. So there's that. And I should mention that this will not work on Windows 10 Home, only Windows 10 Pro. So if you're running Windows 10 Home, you can actually run this and add to your registry, but you won't notice any difference in behavior. Windows Update will continue to behave the annoying way that it always does. Okay, so we've covered quite a few things here. We covered, of course, to start out, I mentioned how to stop OneDrive from installing to your system, and also how to hide it using this downloadable set of registry files. I covered the old calculator, how to restore photo viewer, how to stop resetting of Windows 10, or how to stop Windows 10 from resetting your file associations, I should say. I covered the games. I did talk a little bit about Media Center, which that's kind of hit or miss. We focus on Classic Shell, which gets you back your classic Windows 7 style start menu, which we still got to set that up a little bit. And we covered the Windows 10 Pro notified to download updates. So again, what that would do is it would stop Windows 10 from automatically downloading and installing files, but instead notify you when there's updates available. So I'm going to minimize this. Now when I click on the start button, Classic Shell wants me to set it up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first go over to Customize Start menu. And as mentioned earlier, ever since Windows 10 1803, the Games shell extension has been disabled, so don't enable this item because it won't work. But you can access your games from within the Start menu. So what I always do is I turn on videos, display as a link, and for some reason the author of this program set control panel to show up as a menu instead of just a link. I always change that to be as a link. That's how it was in Windows 7. Go over to Skin. I'm going to change it from Metro to Windows 8. And you can select Windows Arrow if you like. I always like to use Windows 8. I'll select OK on this, and now we have a start menu that's more familiar. And this behaves very similarly to the Windows 7 start menu. So for example, we're going to look for the games. And there's the games that we had talked about previously. So for example, Minesweeper. Oh well. So that's Minesweeper. So you get those games, and just for example, let me see if I can find a picture to open. Okay, so I've located some photos, and these are actually wallpapers from Windows Vista. And I forgot to mention, once you get done with the changing the file extension of that registry file, you can just uncheck this and now get rid of the file extensions. Or you can leave it as that if you wish. So let's go and go into PC settings. We need to go ahead and set the file associations. So it'll be under Apps and Default Apps. And right now everything is set to the defaults. And I should mention that Windows 10 does include Windows Media Player 12. So if you like Windows Media Player for Windows 7, it's there. And if you want to change the photo viewer from the Windows 10 Photos app, which is not bad, you know, Windows 10 Photos app is not that bad, but I do like the classic photo viewer. So you can select photo viewer now if you've run the installer. And also you could go in and change this stuff here, which I do recommend downloading a different browser like Chrome or Firefox. I usually use Chrome. And as for the video player, you could change that to Windows Media Player, or if you're like me, download the K-Like Codec Pack, which includes Media Player Classic Home Cinema, or you could download Zoom Player. Those are both good media players. Okay, so I've changed those default apps so that way when we click on one of these photos, it'll open up then the classic Windows Photo Viewer. So this is the classic photo viewer from Windows 7. I'm sure that probably looks familiar to you. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so if you're curious what the classic calculator looks like, this is the Windows 10 style calculator. And you see how freaking huge it is. I don't care for my calculator being super sized like that, and you can shrink it down. So yeah, the Windows 10 calculator isn't all that bad, but I do like the classic one. What's nice is you can run either or. So if you install the classic calculator, you don't lose this one. So go to All Programs, Windows Accessories, and there's Calculator. And you can in fact run them side by side. So this is the Windows 7 calculator, which if you're coming from Windows 7, it's very familiar. And I figured before I wrap up this video, we'll go ahead and focus on the Windows Essentials 2012 software package. which I have this on file. I'm pretty sure you can still download this. I'm not certain though. So what I do is I always choose the programs you want to install, and I should mention that if you do block OneDrive from installing, like we did earlier, this here will automatically suggest you install SkyDrive, which is the old version of OneDrive. We'll uncheck that, and matter of fact, the only thing I install out of this package is the photo gallery and the movie maker. Although I'm not a really big fan of the Windows Essentials Movie Maker, I do use it for certain things, but I use the classic Windows Vista Movie Maker. As a matter of fact, all my videos on the channel are put together with it. This is completed, so if I go into programs, there's the newer style Movie Maker from Windows Live or Windows Essentials. So this is an older machine, so just bear with me here. It's not the fastest. There should be an accept button down here. Not sure what's going on here. So accept was on the bottom right corner. So this is the newer style Movie Maker. I think what's going on here is the graphics on this machine. This is not playing nice. It's Intel integrated graphics, not the greatest out there. I'm gonna probably be slapping a graphics card into this thing before I'm done with it. But so there's that, and also the photo gallery. I don't know what the deal is with this graphics driver, but okay. Yeah, those programs do work fine on Windows 10. I use them all the time. But so I think that just about covers it for making Windows 10 behave a little bit more like Windows 7. So, like I say, I'll try my best to put all the needed information to the description on some of these registry files, the stuff that I created myself. The rest of the stuff you should be able to download off the internet. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Well everybody, that's it for this video, but don't forget there's a lot more interesting stuff on the channel to check out. Also, if this is your first time visiting this channel, feel free to subscribe to keep your channel, and also don't forget to tick the bell so that way you'll get notified of new video posts. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, but if you really didn't like it, there is the alternative option available as well. Also, feel free to check out my second channel, CubeComp MTDX. There you'll find videos about bicycling, weather, elevator tours, and all sorts of other neat, interesting stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to come back, and thank you for your support.